All right, ladies and gentlemen, back at it again here tonight for another edition of NASCAR 07 Whelen Modified Series Action Custom Schedule Season. And we have races 3 and 4 for you on this live stream. Already qualified on the pole for this race. It was really quick in practice as well. Let's see if we can go out and dominate. First race will be at the IRP here for this opener, and then race 2 will be taking place at our fantasy track of Meadow Creek. That'll be the shorter of the two races tonight. Two full races, 150 laps in race 1 here at IRP, 100 laps at Meadow Creek in race 2. Green flags in the air. We're underway, a little Thursday Night Thunder. I had a great handling car through practice, and into qualifying, we got a crash already. Oh my gosh, first corner. Big pile up back there. Somebody got tight, made contact wheel to wheel, heavy impact into the wall, and that's going to space this field out a ton already. You got a 4-car breakaway at the front. You can see the skid marks up towards the wall in 3 and 4. As our driver, Bill Fuller, is going to lead the first 2 laps under green flag action. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a wilder start. And obviously, with no cautions, we do continue to stay green, as we will throughout the entirety of this one. Honestly, 150 laps at IRP, I mean, that's like almost a full truck or Xfinity race here. I think we ran 200 laps in both of those. And we still got a second race coming up yet here today. Yep, Packers lines tonight. I got my Clay Matthews jersey on right now. You guys can't see it with the camera off again, but hopefully I'll have that fixed when I'm off of work tomorrow. I'll figure it out. Or at least do what I can to try to get it figured out. I'm not a tech wizard, obviously. Otherwise, it'd probably be up and running by now. Really quick car, though, for Fuller. It's going to take a lot to not win this race. Somebody blew an engine like right in front of me in practice, and it almost ran right into the back of them. It's in the center of 1 and 2, and they checked up, and they didn't go to the apron. They just kind of stayed in the lower line. I was like, whoa. I had to evade at the last second. And speaking of blown engines, one of our teammates has blown a motor right out of the gate. We've had one of our teammates blow an engine now in each of these first 3 races. In fact, in the last one, 2 of them did. And I think they've each blown an engine once through the first 2 races. And now one of them has blown an engine twice in the first 3. Well, Fuller with that 15-point lead entering this one. This is our first trip, by the way, at IRP. We did not race here on our first season. It was going to be our next race if we had not clinched the championship early at that time period through 13 of 16 races. So in this 12-race custom schedule season, here we are in race 3 for the first time with the modifieds at IRP. So the fact I was able to nail the setup, qualifying the pole, pretty nice. First pole of the season as well. Finished second in the opener at Milwaukee last night, and then also won at Martinsville in the second race. Combined 20 laps led between the 2 races. So definitely didn't dominate, but good, great finishes. And the 2 drivers who got the max, well, I should say max points day, max amount of bonus points for leading the most laps are the 2 that are tied for second and third. Each of those top 3 in points finished 1 through 3 in different orders through those 2 races, again at Milwaukee and Martinsville yesterday evening. Billy Kramer, Wade, thanks for tuning in, by the way. Hey, Clay Matthews was a beast. Can't deny that. .462 that last lap. I'm hoping this first race goes by quickly. I'm also, so I have a planned pickup order for B-dubs. Get some wings for the game tonight. So I'm really hoping that this stream is done at a respectable time so I can get back to my place before the before the game starts. Doing obviously 2 races in one stream with them both being 100% races. We'll see. I mean, it's probably going to take me a good 45 minutes to get there and back. I would say 45 minutes at the most. It depends what traffic's like. It did snow on my way home from work, and I think it's still snowing, so it actually might be longer than 45 minutes. We'll have to wait and see. I'll have to take it easy out there. Topic of conversation while we're on it. Favorite wings from Buffalo Wild Wings. What's your guys' favorite sauces? If anybody's obviously... I would imagine most people have probably at least had Buffalo Wild Wings once. Go-to sauce. And maybe it doesn't even have to be from them specifically, just in general. Favorite sauce for wings. Start commenting down in the chat. Get a discussion started. Because we're not going to have a lot of commentary for this first race, considering the obliteration on the field in these first 20 laps. I'm barely having to lift in the center of the corners. Like, we are ripping around this track. Kind of diamond cutting. I'm entering down on the apron, floating wide. Get the straight line speed off by cutting down towards the apron again on corner exit. I do like this track in this game, though, just from the raceability standpoint. It does seem like it's way more competitive when I'm running the other series here compared to the modifieds, but still a lot of fun. No Dobbs again tonight. This is true. Hasn't been a problem the last couple of weeks. I think Watson was out 2 games ago, and then, yeah, Dobbs was out last week. But we'll see. I don't think offensively is going to be an issue. I was looking at Jordan Love's stats yesterday in a dome. 14 touchdowns, 1 interception. In 4 games, by the way. In a dome. That was 3 last season and the one against the Rams in SoFi earlier this year. So I'd imagine the offense should be clicking tonight. It's just going to be it's probably going to be a shootout, honestly. Detroit's had a lot of games like that, too. I mean, really, if you think back to the Thanksgiving game last season, it was a pretty high-scoring game between these 2 teams also. Granted, this week it's not technically short rest because they both played last Thursday, but I would imagine there's going to be at least a few touchdowns for both teams tonight. Especially with some key inactives for both teams, too, on the defensive side of things. Obviously, Hutchinson's been out for a minute now. So when you compare that to last year's game, obviously, can't hurt Packers offensively. And like you just mentioned, Jair Alexander as well, out for the 2nd consecutive game. So that's a big loss for the Packers secondary. It'll be explosive. It's going to be fun to watch. I definitely think it'll be a close game. I mean, usually division games are pretty close. But, I mean, the last 2 seasons in particular, when these 2 teams have played each other, I mean, I guess the game earlier this year, the Lions dominated. Packers, that was probably their easily worst game on offense all season, but they were battling rainy conditions. They're in a dome tonight. Weather's obviously not going to be an issue. I will say, though, it would be brutally cold if they actually had to play outside in Detroit tonight. I think the wind chill's single digits where I live right now, and Detroit's still a little bit more north of where I'm at, so. Teriyaki wings. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I mean, that's good. I haven't had teriyaki in a while, actually. Usually for B-dubs, I go for Asian Zing or Thai curry. The Asian Zing kind of tastes like, for anybody that's had General So, like chicken, Chinese. It does taste like that to me, at least. Yeah, that one's good in that Thai curry I really like. They're a little spicier, but honestly, I'm not one for spicy foods, so it has to really taste good for me to actually get it, and I personally like those two of the ones that I've tried. Obviously, I haven't tried every single one, but obviously more of the generic, ones that you could get anywhere I've definitely had before. Yeah, Buffalo's, good old-fashioned buffalo sauce, always good. Gibbs Montgomery, yeah. They'll probably both get. I definitely think Montgomery's getting a touchdown at the very least. But not surprising to see both of those guys in the end zone by the end of the game. I've got both of them on my work fantasy league, so if the Packers lose big tonight, at least I know my fantasy team had a good night. Between those two and St. Brown. Trying to get me that league championship this year. 9-4. Granted, I'm coming off back-to-back losses. 2 weeks ago, not last week, but the week before that, I only lost by 1.5, so it wasn't like it was a bad 2 losses in a row. That's the first time I've lost multiple games in a row. Meanwhile, in my other league, I was 5-2, and now I'm 6-7. It's got so bad. I'm still scoring, but I'm just getting outscored every week. Like, I lost by 22 this week. I was the second highest scorer in the league this week. I was playing my dad, and his team beat me still. Even when I score more points than the other 10 teams in the league. It's not the best team in the league by any means. That's why I'm 6-7, but it's, I shouldn't be there. It should be probably a couple games better. But then there's games that I've won that I've scored very little this year. So kind of a week like this week where any other team I would have won, but there's been a couple of them I can think of where I scored really low and I won. That's how weird that season's been. Tyreek Hill, draft bust in that league, by the way. I took him with the 6th overall pick. I thought I got him. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's my number 1. And then Tua got hurt. So the 1 touchdown didn't really do anything for me. I think he caught like 2 passes the whole game. Like, what is this? This ain't a number 1 overall draft pick. Like, should be putting up bigger numbers. I think that alone is single-handedly cost me. Like, if I would have taken somebody else. Oh, wow, little contact there, side by side, and slipping through to the bottom 3 wide was Fuller. Already working through quite a bit of lap traffic. I think I'm going to lap the field in this race. The rate we're going at right now. I should. Yeah, and that's the thing that sucks. Like, I put Hill on the trading block right before Tua came back. I'm like, all right, maybe somebody will, like, take him from me because there's still an off chance he doesn't play as well because he hasn't up to this point. Yeah, week 1 he went off, and that was it. I mean, he had his 2nd best game of the year for me last week. Granted, I still lost, like I mentioned, but I mean, I guess if he does that every week going forward, but throughout the season, he's definitely lost me too many games. There are so many games this year he was scoring me like 2, 3, 4, 5 points. It just doesn't cut it in fantasy football. Especially when you're a number 1 draft pick. Fantasy flop. Yeah, I'll have to like go back one of these days to look at the draft board to see who was taken ahead of me and who I could have taken. Because obviously in hindsight, if I could have gotten like a Gibbs or a St. Brown. I know St. Brown was taken ahead of him because I think he was the first wideout taken and I took Hill as my 2nd. Because I obviously took St. Brown in the other league. So he would have been the go-to there, but And I got Gibbs in the second round in the other league, so I just automatically assumed, I'm like, oh yeah, I could probably get him coming back. Nope. They're taking at the back end of the first round. I was looking for Montgomery late, and he went. I waited too long. Should have pulled the trigger on that round earlier. Abu Dhabi Grand Prix this weekend. Is that the finale still for F1? You know, it at least used to be a few years ago. I honestly didn't even know that that was going on this weekend. I just automatically assumed F1 was done already. I know Verstappen clinched the championship already. He did that in Vegas, I think. For some reason, I was thinking the season was done already, too. They always go into December? I never realized they went that late into the year. I don't watch Formula One clearly, so that's why I don't know this. Also throwing that out there. Michael Turner and Ryan Berwick, thanks for tuning in also. Well, a little over a half a track lead as of right now with the crash on lap 1. That's why we've lapped as many cars as we have in the first 52 out of 150 laps in this one. 3 wide going into turn 3. Nobody got knocked out of the race from it. A couple laps later, somebody blew an engine. I don't know, maybe they were involved in the incident. Happened so quick and there were so many cars involved. I definitely saw some wheel-to-wheel contact which started it. And then I saw somebody else catch a little bit of air. I don't think they flipped, but there are definitely some wheelies back there in the middle of the pack. Abu Dhabi is still the season finale. I don't think the teams I feel like are already on a disagreeing side with NASCAR with a lot of stuff nowadays. If they extended the season to December, I think they would be way more pissed than they already are. Yeah, they deserve. I mean, they already have probably the shortest off season them in baseball, but even NASCAR is slightly longer. Obviously, I'm including like spring training in there for baseball's sake. That starts in late February, week or two after Daytona usually. Not to mention, especially nowadays, only having like one off week during the year. Last year we had 2 back-to-back, but that's not a lot, especially when they're not spaced out. Next year, the off week's going to be in the first quarter of the season, and then they're going to go the last 75% of the schedule without another week off. That's going to be a grind for those teams. That's to say the least. Nine-second lead. 90 to go. 60 laps in, a little less than 20 minutes. This race, I'm probably going to finish it before 7. I'm targeting 7:30. Ideally. If I can get this stream done by 7:30, I think I can get back with the wings before the game starts. It's going to be cut it close. Like, I'm going to have it on, and then so that way when I get back, I don't have to turn the TV on, because my TV's a little slow to turn on sometimes. It takes a good, like, minute and a half, 2 minutes for me to get Hulu up. It's just old. Not this TV. Not the TV I'm currently using for this, but the one that I watch. The other one that I watch, like, all the games and stuff. This one's quicker. Thank goodness. I probably wouldn't use it to stream if I was stuck with that other one, but I mean, it gets the job done, but yeah, it's definitely slow. Well, yeah, the game tonight's not on Hulu. I watch Hulu for everything else, live sport-wise. Yeah, the game's on Amazon Prime Thursdays. I was just saying, generally speaking, it takes a while. I mean, it would be the same thing with Prime, though. It's just the booting and rebooting of that TV just takes forever. And for some reason, I don't know exactly why it is, but the TV, when you turn it on, Jerry Springer or like Maury or like all those kinds of shows are always on. What's the other one? Like Steve Wilkos, I think I see on there. They're all like the same preface for anybody that knows of the Jerry Springer show. And it's always like in the midst of like the heated argument, you got two women pulling each other's hair out and stuff like that. It's like always that as soon as the TV gets turned on. It takes a good while to reboot it. I really don't know why it's always on that channel. I don't even know what exactly it is that it's on. I don't know. It can't be basic cable because it's like 24 hours of the day. It's on Jerry Springer-like shows. Maybe he has his own channel or something. More cars going off of the lead lap. Leaders not including our driver, of course, Bill Fuller, has caught the back of the field. Maybe it's FUBU. Don't you have to pay for Sling? Obviously, whatever it is, it's free. Because I'm not paying for it. Unlimited Jerry Springer for free. Full episodes. Your sister was on Jerry Springer? Like in the audience? I would assume. I would hope so. I would hope it was just the audience. That side of it would be kind of fun, but I don't think you'd be praising if she was one of them getting like interviewed or whatever. Getting smacked around on live television by another grown woman. I think they filmed it in Chicago. I don't know if it was maybe just specific seasons or the entirety of the show, but I thought it was filmed in Chicago for my knowledge of the Jerry Springer show. Hulu is horrible. Had it one time, now YouTube TV. YouTube TV is not bad. I had that for a little bit of time. I like Hulu. I get all the Red Wings games for free, though, with ESPN Plus through Hulu. So just having the standard package that I have for Hulu, I can literally watch every Red Wings, any NHL game in general, but obviously I'm only watching the Red Wings. I'm not going to stay up and watch like every West Coast game every night, but honestly, if it wasn't for that, I probably would still have YouTube TV, but yeah, I'm not giving up my Red Wings. Obviously, I could just pay for ESPN Plus separately, but then I'm paying for multiple subscriptions, at a time with ESPN Plus and that. At least it's incorporated all in itself. Cindy Duncan, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I don't mind Hulu. The only reason I would like to have like standard cables because the speed's quicker for when I'm doing live commentary streams. That would literally be the only reason I would want it. But from the cost side of things, it's just not worth it. You know, why pay an extra basically $100 a month for me? Obviously, if I'm making more money off of YouTube, I would pull the trigger on that. But fact of the matter is, I'm not. So I'm not going to put that towards, you know, an extra $100 or whatever for cable that'll get the satellite connection quicker than what I would through streaming. Ultimately. Especially now with just over a month of the season going to be on Amazon Prime going forward. Won't even need cable for those races. Granted, one of them I'm definitely going to, which is the Michigan race. I'm moving that up to June for next season. Used to have DirecTV. Yeah, growing up, I had DirecTV for a few years. I can remember having Sunday Ticket free for like 2 seasons. We had it free for 1 season. And then like something got messed up with like the billing or whatever, so my dad complained about it, and we got another like that next season free as well for Sunday Ticket. It's like a caveat to the extra charging or whatever. I don't know the details on it. I was young, but I remember having it free for 2 years. And there was a mishap that caused us to get it free the second time around. It was around the time the Lions were really bad when they went 0-16, because I can always remember like having Sunday Ticket, but those games were still getting blocked out locally. I thought it was hilarious. It did suck though when Green Bay would play them, the 2 times a year that those games would get blacked out. So I definitely know the 0-16 season was one of the years that we had it. I can remember not being able to watch the Packers game twice because of that. Thanks, Detroit. Just had to go winless. Ran our fastest lap of the day. Blew past a lap car that was blowing an engine on the front straightaway as well. I don't know why they don't pull to the apron of the racetrack here. A few cars back behind us got stacked up behind the lapper as well. Just over a 15.5-second lead. Still a little over a third of the race left. 59 laps to go at the line. I think my grandparents have Spectrum. Just the TV, though. They don't have internet. They're too out of touch with society for internet. A little stack up off of the corner there. Oh, man, I drove in way too deep. I was on the brakes pretty heavily getting into the turn. Still made contact. Minimal contact, but there was some. Walmart card crowding us. Make the clearance off turn 2. This next lap car is blocking us. And say if he was just going to block us, I was going to have to try to run the top for a corner or two and have him try to mimic our line so we can finally get underneath him. A little contact there. I was all the way on the apron and he was still running into us. Rodney Clay, I believe, was that car. Unless that Ally thing's been up forever. Maybe it wasn't Rodney Clay. I'm getting hungry, by the way, thinking of food. Bad idea to start talking about food at the start of the stream. We still got another race left after this. And I got to go get it. I mean, it's going to be an hour and a half before I eat. Yeah, that wasn't a good idea. I should have waited for race 2 to start talking about that. $50 to go. This time by 100 laps complete. Bill Fuller trying to go back to back. And maybe try to go for 3 in a row. The clean sweep tonight, Meadow Creek. That's going to be definitely tough. 100 laps there is not a long time. We will be starting at the back of the pack in that race. Three wide off turn 4 down the front straightaway. Entering the next corner, just clear. I was committed to holding that line, and I actually got through there very cleanly. I was actually kind of scared I was going to kind of right rear myself and hit head on into the wall. A little risky when you have about an 18-second lead to hold that 3 wide move off. We kind of merged 3 wide off the corner before that, though. It's not like I just sailed it off into the corner all willy-nilly. Everybody's hungry. We're working everybody's appetite up in the chat. One lap lead on the field, by the way. That last car we just passed was second place, so we've lapped the field. And we still have 45 to go this time by. Go from leading 20 laps combined in the first 2 races to leading more than likely all 150 here in race 1 of our doubleheader at IRP. I was uncertain about how this race was going to go just because we hadn't ran here before with the modifieds, but pretty good. Only other track we'll have to go to for the first time ever then with these cars will be Watkins Glen later in the season. Oh boy, that's tight. He was trying to go for a pass for position there right as we were about to lap him. And now there's contact with the cars up in front of us too. Couple sketchy situations here in the back of the pack. Nate Beasley in the 113 will be the next one to try to pass. Looking the apron all the way through 3 and 4 there. 18.321, fastest lap of the race. 115 laps in out of 150 now. And race 2 will be at Meadow Creek. 100 laps. That a half-mile short track. This one a little bit bigger than that. Honestly, with the way that field stacked up off the initial start, I think we're going to have a lot of drivers 2 laps down before the end of this race as well. Consider we just lapped the full field right after lap 100. Obviously, we're not going to put the entire field 2 laps down, but I would expect over half of them at the very least, especially half of however many we'll have left at the end. Only 2 drivers out so far. Usually have 3 to 4 DNFs in these longer races. 150 laps on the season, which is the longest race lengths we can have. Blues game does start till 8 Central Time. They still in Central Time Zone for tonight's game? I don't know. I have zero clue who they play. I don't really look at the NHL schedule outside of who the Wings play. I'll check it on the ESPN app, so like when I open it up, if I know the Wings are playing at a specific time or I go to look at the standings, I'll get a glimpse of who might be playing. But if I don't like catch it quickly, definitely doesn't register in my brain. McKinney and Joseph leading the league in interceptions. I know they were both up there for a while. Because McKinney was leading for a long time at the start of the season. Because I think he had like 5 interceptions in the first 4 games of the year. And then since then, he's only had, 1 or 2 more? Last 4 or 5 games. So the average for the season's still, up because he started off so hot. But yeah, he's definitely been playing great ball. Definitely the best acquisition I'd say, on Green Bay's roster this season. From last offseason. 20 to go this time by. I'm not going to update the point standings in between the two races. We'll just get right on with race 2. Rushing the stream just a little bit here tonight. We'll be starting from the back of the pack in our second race in Meadow Creek as well, just like we did in race 2 last night at Martinsville. Still got the win in that one, so it can be done. But we'll only have 100 laps in that full race rather than 150 to try to go from the back to the front. We'll get to these 2 lappers. I'm not quite sure about anybody else. There's a giant group of lap cars up there that I might catch before the finish. Get by these 2 pretty quickly here. One of them there through 3 and 4. Got one of them still to go. 18.254 that last lap. Fastest lap of the race for Bill Fuller. Somebody else pulling the pit road, it looked like that time. Yep. My eyes were not deceiving me. We have another driver blowing an engine. It'll be interesting to see who those 3 that are out of the race will be at the end of this thing. And that might have stacked up that pack a little bit more because I think he was at the front of it. And we're starting to catch these guys more quicker than I originally anticipated. 13 laps left at the line for Fuller to go wire to wire. Be the 3rd different driver to lead the most laps in the first 3 races of the season. It'll be our first max points day. Hopefully not our last. I mean, considering how short the season is, we're only going to have 8 races left after tonight. 4 of them done in just over 24 hours. At Calgary, oh, well, that makes sense why the game's starting that late then. I was going to say, if it was in St. Louis, it'd be weird starting it that much later. So we are going to catch this pack. They have separated a little bit from where they were initially when we had seen them several laps ago. Not as clumped. And no side-by-side action at the moment between any of them either makes it easier to make the passes. Not having to fight them too much. Honestly, this might be the best car I think I've had anywhere with the modifieds on this game. I really nailed this thing for our first and only trip to IRP with the modifieds on this game. I won New Hampshire by a lap, but this one, I mean, we lapped the field just over 100 laps, and we still had a little over 40 to go. No question mark about who is going to win this race from the get-go. 7 to go. Got one more car we'll catch. One of our teammates. Blues 3-0-1 since firing their coach. Well, that's a good way for the interim guy to get the head coaching job fully by season's end. Maybe even before that. So early, it's only 4 games, but that's a good start. 2 of them in 3 of the 4. 5 to go. By the way, I was playing my NHL 07 game last week and made it into the playoffs. I was in the second round and ended up beating the Anaheim Ducks to make it to the Western Conference Finals. Beat them in 5 games. Well, guess what? I didn't save it. I didn't save it over the course of 3 or 4 games. Why? Because I was still playing. And then what happens? The power goes out for, I don't know, maybe 30 to 60 seconds. Complete darkness. Obviously, all the lights, everything comes back on. Regain power. Restart the game. And I was back to game 4, I believe it was. At a 3-1 series lead. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to replay these games. I literally just played them. So I simulated the rest of the series. I lost in 7 games. That ticked me off. I'm like, all that work to do that. So, I haven't played NHL in about 10 days or so now. That ticked me off. That whole season basically just went to waste. If I was live on stream, you guys would have seen me maybe at my worst on the channel. I couldn't believe that. I'm like, I've been working on this for over a month. And it just went away. Yeah, that was rough. So when I decide to do the next season, I will, but definitely taking a break from it. Been playing NCAA the last week and a half or so since then. So now I learned to save it. Save the game after every game. Never thought that would happen. I don't even know exactly why the power shut off. But, yeah, the whole town lost power for like 30 to 60 seconds. Apparently some people, it was out for a couple hours, but it was only out for like 30. I mean, it probably was maybe a minute at the most. Just out of nowhere. Will Fuller gets the win. Max points day. Got to do the burnout as he saw. It was only race 1 of our doubleheader, so don't go anywhere. 46 minutes, 9 seconds total time on this first race. 1 lap margin of victory. Solid day. No lead changes. Obviously started on the pole. Led every lap. 133.75 mile per hour average race speed. Haley finishes in second. Alan Walker in third. Marvin Humphreys in fourth. Rodney Clay rounds out the top 5 in fifth. Only the top 4 finished 1 lap down. Fifth on back finished at least 2 laps down. Clint Ferguson ended up 6th as he won the opener at Milwaukee. Jamie Gonzalez 7th. B. Riley 8th, Nate Beasley 9th. And Irwin rounds out the top 10. Our other teammates, Lyle White, finished 11th, 2 laps down. And then obviously the DMF there for Matthews finishes dead last. Only completed 6 laps. Brett Simmons DNF'd as well as Stu Floyd. He was off to a good start. Top 10 in points through the first 2 races. This DNF will put him backwards. So 3 DNFs total. And the Cardinal 150 here at IRP. Again in race 1. Race 2 will be at Meadow Creek. And it will be a 100 lapper. It was pretty loose the last race that we had at Meadow Creek, so I will be making some changes. But with no practice or qualifying, it's going to be very quick. I've heard the new NCAA game is pretty good. But is it PS5 only, though? So I clearly don't have a PS5? That's alright, I'm still rocking the old ones. 06 is the GOAT. '06 from that and Madden from '06. Both of them were great. All right. Wing the series here, PS5 and Xbox One Series X, yeah. That's what I thought. If it was PS4, I would have considered it, but I'll get to it when I get to it. Is that going to be an annual deal? Like next year, are they going to end up having another one, or is it going to be like an every couple of years kind of thing, and they'll just have like patches and stuff before that? All right, slight adjustment changes going into the race. Green flag's in the air. Little wheel spin off the start. But we are racing at Meadow Creek, race 2 of our doubleheader here tonight, and we are at the back of the pack, obviously. Starting last. Already a stack up in turn 1, lap 2. I don't think they actually made contact up there, but it got dicey. Ran into the back of the car in front of us. 3 wide at this place. That's unsettling. I don't even want to think about it. Just gotta trust everybody in front of us. Little contact exiting turn 1 with another car. And another stack up. That time I got on the brakes in time before running into the back of Lyle White. Our teammate in the 175 car, that stack up was off turn 3. So stack up in turn 1 and turn 3 so far. The dangers of no caution. Honestly, though, we didn't really see a wreck in either one of those instances. So any series, we would have had something similar happen. Thank goodness there's only 22 cars. Can you imagine if we had like 43 modifieds with no caution? You want to talk about pandemonium, like we already have it from time to time. Contact with Lyle White consistently through turn 3 that time around. Oh, I lifted. I thought I was going right into the barrels, and I didn't think I had a chance to get out of the way. My race just about ended right there. Trying to make that pass, was getting squeezed until I had to lift and compromise. Sometimes it just ain't worth the position. Definitely wasn't worth it there. I'd have to go back and look at that, but I was extremely close to hitting it. I almost didn't think I moved quick enough. That's how close I was. Squeezed in turn 2, never going to make that corner. Riley trying to battle for this spot. Lap 10, and only 4 spots gained in the first 10 laps of the race. We're going to have to quicken this pace up if we're going to want a shot to win 3 races in a row. Say the car's handling better than what it was before. I don't know that it's as fast, but I'll take the handling in traffic. I think I started on the pole last time I raced here. I went wide in turn 1, gets passed by 2 cars. Both going to get by him. Up to 16th. I really don't think it's worth trying to make a pass at turn 2 anymore. I've tried a couple times and I've gotten squeezed. And it's definitely the sharpest angled corner on the track, too. Lost the bottom through turn 1. Not a lot of room with the 187. I believe that's Haley. And Riley going to get into us. I should say I got into him. I was the one that got loose off turn 2. That was the first time I'd had to hold the outside. Almost an entire lap there. I was perfect through 2 of the 3 corners. Go figure turn 2 got me again. I can't run side by side in that corner. It doesn't matter what lane I'm in. 3 wide off turn 3, just up ahead. We'll have to see if these guys make it into turn 1. That was tight. Well, they did make it. There was no major stack up, so that was also good. Actually did make a pass through turn 2 on Haley that time. Clear before entering turn 3. Trying to keep the car pinned down to the bottom. Kind of got log jammed right in line behind the car in front of us. I thought that was going to open up an opportunity for Haley to get by because I had to check up quite a bit more. Cleared to turn 2, on another car. Back-to-back laps. 72 got a little sideways out of turn 3, caused the stack up to more passes made for position. And Fuller's up to 12th after starting 22nd. Much better gain over the last 8 laps or so to get to where he's at in the field. Trying to make a pass in turn 2. Clipped the inside wall. Still ended up actually getting by him somehow. Leader's not really pulling away at the front of the field, though, so everything kind of staying tighter together is better for us, despite not being in the top 10 quite yet. Somebody else shot wide. All 22 cars still in the race. For now, we obviously know that that won't be the case, and we've seen accidents here. Our race at Meadow Creek on the last season, we saw several accidents in the last 20 laps in particular. That race was never out of reach, no matter how big or small the lead was. The track position is vital everywhere, but I'd say here and Dodge Raceway are probably the 2 tracks on this game that you want that track position at all costs. Oh, got hung up on him. Wheel-to-wheel contact. It was Mark Dyer, who we had actually gotten into. One of those spots back in the next turn in turn 3. Pop back into the top 10. Big gain on Dyer through turn 1. Look into the inside. I will say the AI doesn't seem to take swings at you as much to try to wreck you when you're a rival in the modifieds for some reason. I've noticed that. Like, very rarely they'd actually try to wreck me. Maybe they're more lenient because there's no cautions. Thank goodness, because we would probably have so many rivals by season's end. They were trying to hit me every single race going forward. Old Spice was really the only one I could remember them doing that at last season. I remember I was already wrecked and I got wrecked again. Can't remember exactly who it was, but it was like the only race that they got under my skin a little bit. Pass made in a combination of corners through 1 and 2 there. Got into the back of the neck. Oh, we had a stack up off turn 3. That's what it was. We were all over the back of Clint Ferguson in the 157. Not sure how that started. There was some definite contact made. And a look to the inside of Ferguson off turn 1. Clear in turn 2. Just sneaking to the inside of the next car. Overdrove the entry a bit. More contact through the center of the corner and clear on the front straightaway entering turn 1 for 4th place. 35 laps to go from last in 22nd to 4th. Definitely have a quick car. Only 1 second off the race lead. And second place is blowing up. And we'll easily be able to evade him to the outside and all clear for second now. Oh, we got another car blowing up in the next corner. I did not see him. Quick evasive maneuver to get to the outside and to the lead. 2 cars blowing up on the same lap, 2 corners apart from one another. And now a 2-second lead here for Fuller. And they're still oh my goodness, we've got a car upside down. They're wrecking to the bottom. Somebody just hit the barrels at the front of pit road. Oh my goodness. That is as bad as we've seen it in the modified series on this game with a wreck. And trying to miss it. The whole track was nearly blocked. Good thing there's no debris laying around in this series. Can you imagine having to dodge debris every lap? At least there's that with the modifieds, but holy hellacia. Oh, we have it again! 2 times in 3 laps we've got somebody flipping in turn 2. Oh my gosh, what has this race turned into? We're not even halfway. That time I kind of saw it on the track map a little early. In real life it'd be a red flag. It wouldn't even be a caution. Have you ever? Downtown Chicago. The original Chicago street race. Flipping their cars on the curbs. I don't know how big our lead is. I haven't even looked. The fact that it was in the same corner like twice in 3 laps. And then we had 2 drivers blowing an engine a couple laps before that on the same lap. Oh, we got another one. Oh my gosh. I saw the contact with the cars in front of us. I had to go into the wall because I wasn't sure if those 2 were exactly crashing or not at the time. I don't even know how many cars are out of this race anymore. I think a couple of them that are flipped, I think those guys are still going. It's tough to tell for sure. I wasn't wrong on the thumbnail about a couple of wild races. That first one, maybe not so much. This one has made up for the lackluster race that we had in race 1 from an entertainment standpoint. I might have to clip that. And after all of everything that has happened, about a 1.4 second lead. Things are still relatively tight. Got another car blowing up. Two of them. Right on top of each other. That might cause yet another crash. Probably in turn 2 again. I'll be waiting for it this time by. Really hope they made it to the pits. Okay, they're not stacking up too badly. We're not going to have anybody left in this race. I like how it was perfectly fine for about 35 to 40 laps, and then just all hell broke loose in the last 20 laps or so. I want to talk about Calamity Corner. Turn 2, far and away, has been that corner in this race. I think one of them blew an engine of those drivers that were having issues, and then the other one was just severely damaged. Because I saw some sparks flying from underneath them. They probably crashed into them, to be completely honest. It's probably how that went about. Lead has been extended to 2.8 seconds with the slow-ups behind us. Our largest lead of the race. I think I had about a 4-second lead at one point in the first race last season here, and just kind of slowly gave that time up. I do think my car, being that it has more grip than what I've had here in the past in the Modified Series, should be good to go. Imagine I'm the only one left. I might be at this rate. I was going to say things have slowed down compared to what it was there for at about 20 lap period of time, but it looks like only 4 cars are out of the race though right now. It feels like more than that. We've definitely had way more than that many crash. I'm just thankful I was able to catch it. We didn't have to worry about anybody ARCA breaking it into the back of us, at least. Lead that was about 2.8, 2.9 seconds is down to about 1.8 right now. A little less than 40 laps to go. You get to us, we just got to stay steady. We haven't really had to battle for the lead. I wasn't even quite to the leader yet when I got up to second. That first driver blew an engine. Evaded him to the outside. That was the second place car at the time. And in the next lap, somebody else, well, really is the next corner, somebody else blew an engine. We got through to the lead. Got by on the outside, led every lap since. Honestly, that's going to allow us to probably lead the most laps in this race. Single-handedly. Even if the same driver led those first roughly 40 laps of the race, we're going to lead the entire second half if we can hold on to it to the finish. Bullhorn do I hate the most? So I don't really know many of them. But the one that I know that I hate the most is definitely the Montreal Canadiens. Isn't that the one that's just like a loud siren? It's like an ambulance siren kind of sound. That one is by far the most annoying. You know it's bad when fans know your goal horn because it's that bad? 30 laps to go, and the lead is down under a second. Starting to run a little bit more aggressive to the bottom of the track, especially in turns 1 and 3. Just got to make sure I don't mess it up. A little loose out of turn 3 that time. Definitely pushing hard. Yeah. Really starting to push a little too hard now. I mean, if he's faster than me, he's faster than me. I obviously only caught and passed him because all the drama and carnage around us for those several laps pulled away as a result of that as well. What about Ottawa? It's a car horn? No, Montreal is my least favorite. It's so annoying, especially if you play on a hard difficulty against them and you hear it go off like 5 times. Or even just watching the game. Can you imagine being a Canadiens fan? Season tickets, and you're going to every game and all you hear is the... Yeah, no, it's annoying. It's not a horn, it's a siren. I think that's the problem. At least Ottawa's sounding like a car horn, like, or is a car horn, whatever it is. I mean, at least it's a horn. I'll give them that. Oof. Another clip into that inside wall. Almost freed up enough of a run to lose the lead. No idea who that is in second place behind us, but it's definitely a dead heap with 21 to go at the line. .429 that last lap, fastest lap of the race. $17 more laps and I can order my wings. I'm actually going to get done with this stream way sooner than I thought. This race is even quicker than what I anticipated it being. Yeah, I'll easily be able to get back before the game. I'm proud now. 7:30 was going to be cutting it. It looks like I'm going to be like 15 minutes ahead of schedule. Speaking of 15, we got 15 laps to go. And we're closing in on 2 lap cars. I've clipped that inside wall a couple times in a row now. In turn 2 specifically. That's actually been my trouble corner in this race for some reason. It's been the trouble corner when you consider all the crashes that have happened on that area of the track too. Closing in on the 2 lap cars out in front of the field. Power slide getting into turn 1, kind of drove through it. 12 laps to go, about a half a second lead. And we just clinched the most laps led in the final 12 laps of the race. So here we go. Got to get through these 2 drivers. And got to do it cleanly. Also have to hope that no more carnage happens around this racetrack for the final 11 laps. Trying to make a pass in turn 2. It's the trouble corner for ourselves specifically on the track in this race, and then got squeezed down into turn 3, and that doesn't help matters either. 10 laps left. Finally got by him. It could have been way worse than what it was. And Brett Matthews now. With 9 laps to go, teammate right in front of Fuller. Fuller loses the bottom of the track, and the lap car he just battled harshly to get around had just passed him back. 8 laps to go, and the gap is shrinking between first and second again. Back to the inside, out of turn 1, all the way through turn 2, clearing the 3. A wiggle on the outside by the lapper. Matthews in the way again, 7 laps to go. As a teammate, you would think getting out of the way would probably be the wisest thing you can do here. Ensure your points leader teammate can win the race. Bill Fuller gets through, aggressive line through 3, a little loose. I was on the apron with the left side tires, but never touched the wall. Five laps to go. Second place struggling to get through the 2 lap cars now, and I think he's finally around him. 0.6 of a second lead. More to go. Two more laps to just not make a mistake here for Bill Fuller, and he'll win 3 races in a row. He'll be coming to the white flag this time by. Around this half-mile triangular-shaped short track. Here we go. One more. Checkered flag is going to be waving. And Bill Fuller will get the win. Even with a little contact in the turn 3 inside wall. Just scraped it a little bit. Didn't hurt the car, obviously. It stayed out of trouble, which we had a lot of it here in this one. I've definitely got to clip that like 20 lap period from about lap 40 to lap 60, because that was something. But a win. And now we'll burn out in front of the small crowd here on the front stretch. Small packed crowd, I will say, on the front stretch. Not a big grandstands on a very small track. Especially consider it's 3 straightaways and it doesn't even last a full straightaway. Take a look at the race results, race stats. 1 lead change in this one. 38 laps led for Rodney Clay from the pole. From last, we got to first on lap 39, led the final 62, and won the race. So our first 2 max points days of the season will be in this stream, as we do get the stream sweep. Clint Ferguson finishes 2nd. Rodney Clay 3rd, Stu Floyd after DNF in race 1 finishes 4th, Marvin Humphreys 5th, Jamie Gonzalez 6th, Alan Walker 7th, Camden Barnes 8th, Brett Matthews in 9th, our teammate there who was the first car 1 lap down, only 8 cars finished on the lead lap. And our block rounds out the top 10. Lyle White finishes 11th in both races today. And for the first time this season, we didn't have a teammate DNF, but I'm surprised we didn't have more DNFs. We had a lot of crashes in the middle going into this race. 2 flips. In the modified series, we had to evade and make evasive action. Yeah, from lap 39 through lap 52, it was less than 20 laps. It was like a 12-lap stretch. It was just pandemonium. Travis Haley, Nate Beasley, Lou Stanton, and Rhett Simmons all DNF'd in this one. 4/10 of a second margin of victory, 27 minutes, 107.35 mile per hour average race speed. We'll take a look at the point standings before we end this one. Got Dodge Raceway Watkins Glen in their next modified series stream. And those will both be 100% races as well. That'll probably be a longer stream with it being 66 laps at the Glen. That'd be probably about a truck race length, and then we'd have a race before that Dodge Raceway. The Dodge Raceway race should be pretty quick for 150 laps. 75-point lead over Clint Ferguson. We came into the night with just a 15-point lead, and Ferguson did finish third in race 2. And he was back after the top 10, I believe, in race 1. Camden Barnes, who had a DNF in one of our 2 races tonight, bounced back with a good finish in race 2. He was also tied for second in points. He's now 144 back in third. Jimmy Gonzalez 4th, Marvin Humphreys 5th. Our teammates, obviously, each of them have blown an engine at least once. Rodney Clay's had good finishes at least, so he's still 7th in points. He's the only one in the top 10 other than us, of course. Lyle White 19th, 21st for Brett Matthews out of 22 that have ran every race this season. Ouch. One of those 2 has DNF'd twice in the first 4 races of the season, so it definitely doesn't help. All right, so tomorrow's live stream is going to end up actually being a NASCAR 07 Cup Series race stream. So back to the Cup Series, picking off from our Southern 500 victory with Dave Blaney, which took place on Monday night. Tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Eastern, we will be running the full Coca-Cola 600. It'll be our longest stream of NASCAR 07 gameplay, and hope to see you for it. It'll be a long one, but a good one, as always. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good rest.